Hey, and welcome back to the Rick and Dafs Podcast. I'm Dafs.
And I'm Rick.
And as always, we are here unscripted and raw.
It's season 4. Congratulations.
Yes,
You've
it is.
made it this far.
Yep.
Like 70 episodes in, and you're still going, just like us.
And today, to mix things up and have a little bit happier note, we're going to talk about death.
But first, the thought of the week. Strip poker on the Enterprise. Who you got?
They only have onesie.
But contractually, he had a banner.
Wesley Crusher would make a terrible Dread Pirate Roberts.
I feel like you're doubting my ability to seduce an ape princess.
I'm not doubting. I'm a little doubting. It's the Rick and Dafs Thought of the Week.
Dafs, I've been thinking a lot about getting fired / quitting my job. Not because I actually want to, but because I think it's something you always need to know how you're going to do. Mm-hmm. Like if you were going to retire, like there's a guy at my work who's retiring. He's just like, oh, I'm going to retire. That's boring. Mm-hmm. How would you retire? Because you got to make it interesting.
I think you gotta make it interesting. It's always kind of bugs me when people are like, "Oh, Jerry's gonna retire this Friday, so we have like this party set up and like it's a celebration."
Sad.
And I'm like, that's good for Jerry, but I feel like, what if he didn't tell everyone and just sprung it on them the last minute?
Well, I have some options for those of you at home. One of them is kind of along those lines. You do something really out of character, like if you're boring Jerry. You go out and you buy a Harley Davidson. You pull up to the outside of the business, revving the engine loudly with your cool leather jacket. Maybe you get some attractive woman to come with you. Then you just walk into the office and just slam down your resignation, pow, on the desk and just quit. And you just walk out and then do a wheelie as you drive away. If you can pull it off. My guess is you're probably like a 65-year-old man, so probably can't pull it off. Mm-hmm. And or woman. This is an equal opportunity to offend people. Mm-hmm. But my favorite is this one. You make a very long video. Excruciatingly long. Like 30 minutes. Talking about your time at the company. It's got really, really like annoying, overly... I don't know what the word is. Overly dramatic music. It's emotional, lots of speeches. Make everyone watch it. At the end of a long, long meeting that you've already had, but you ghost before it's over. So they're like, oh, thank God that's over. Well, congratulations, Jerry. Hey, where's Jerry? And you're just gone. But at the beginning, you also have to stand in the doorway so no one can leave. Then you lock the door on your way out. So then you're just gone. So that way you've punished them for your terrible job. 2, you've gotten to leave without having to go through the awkwardness of like people saying goodbye. And 3, then you're out.
Little do you know, they knew about your plan. They have a retirement cake with sparklers on it. Everyone's in the meeting, locked in. Sparklers start a fire. You've locked the door. They can't get out.
Arson.
Tragedy.
Tragedy. Or comedy.
I mean, it's just tragedy plus time.
How about this? Start making crazy proposals, each crazier than the last. Become the official office supplier of the space station. Suggest a bird watching division. Then when they eventually just try and pay you to leave, you take them up on their offer. Plus, in the meantime, you can start doing really strange, eccentric things. Like maybe you're in a meeting and you're like, quick, to the bridge of Casa Doom. And then you just run off. Maybe start wearing some Gandalf robes. Which, by the way, speaking of this Gandalf character, have you seen that thing where it's like kind of comparing... Lord of the Rings to like a role-playing game where Gandalf's like, oh yeah, go on ahead, guys. That fights the boss by himself, gets sweet new robes and gear the next time you see him.
Yeah, goes up on XP and comes up back with new loot and gear.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, way to
jerk.
Way to bogart all the XP there, Gandalf.
Yeah, right. By the way, we played Dungeons and Dragons. Well, for me, the first time. Mm-hmm. Apparently, Daft told me I was very hard to control as a player.
I was the dungeon master, and a princess was kidnapped by evildoers and needed to be saved. And as we're starting the campaign off, it's a one-off, and everyone's introducing themselves, Rick is like, why should I care? Why should I even go on this adventure? I'm like, because that's the point of this whole game tonight. And he's like, you gonna pay me? I'm like, you mean like real money or in gold? And he's like, yeah, like gold. Like, what do I get for risking this princess? I'm like, you don't have to be a part of this. You can just sit here in the tavern the whole time for all I care.
It was a role-playing game, Dafs. If you didn't like the role I was playing, you shouldn't have invited me.
But you still played you. You just played yourself.
What's wrong with that? I'm a very interesting character to be injected into a medieval type situation. He was very strict. He wouldn't let me charm the old man or the old woman or any of the non-player characters that I came across.
It was very hard for you to charm a character that already wanted you to do the thing that you're supposed to want to do. I'm like, okay, he's charmed. He still wants you to go save the princess. Tell him to give me money. Money doesn't mean anything in this game, but I want a lot of it. Okay, you have all his money. Great. What can I do with it? I just told you nothing. Well, now I'm the richest guy in this game. It's all made up, Rick. It doesn't matter.
So you're saying is I'm the best Dungeons and Dragons player you've ever played with?
It went off the rails real fast.
At the beginning.
Yes.
Poor Dafs. Just wait till I'm dungeon master.
We're gonna do a rotating DM, which apparently is called I can't remember what it's called.
It's gonna be insanity.
It's like a rotating troop or something like that.
I don't know, but anyways, Dafs is in for quite the treat.
I'm imagining it's gonna have the mafia and apes,
and probably lots of arbitrary rules and lying. So if you can get on board with that type of chaotic scene, then you'll do well. But that's enough just rambling on, which is a patented Rick and Dafs moves. Mm-hmm. What are we talking about again?
Death.
Oh, yeah. That's a real downer. Well, I guess we should get to it. So if you knew exactly when you were going to die, but you didn't know how, but it was ironclad, like you will die at age 35 on April 21st in Rick's house at approximately 5:14 p.m.
I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, that's 4 minutes from now.
What would you do?
Well, I mean, so that's the thing, is if you know when you're going to die, how does it change your behavior? And so I think for the rules for this, you can't tell kids.
Oh, definitely not.
Because that's a bad idea.
Well, what if when they're born though, it like says like, oh, like 7 years from now.
I think
still can't tell them.
No, I think that parents wouldn't be able to know that, because I feel like people who are not as good of people as they should be would be like, this kid's only going to live 2 years. I'm not going to get emotionally invested.
Ooh,
and I think that's is a really dangerous precedent.
What if you're the guy though who turns 18 and it's like 3 days?
Well, yeah, it's a thing.
Oh man!
I imagine you'd have to find out. Like no one would know, but you would get an envelope or something like that, or randomly would be told.
No.
On your 18th birthday.
Everybody would know because it would impact everything. Like that's the thing I'm thinking about. Like, what if I met Molly, but it's like, oh, she's gonna outlive me by like 30 years. What if she's like, not worth it. I don't want to invest in this relationship knowing that you're not long for this world.
Or is she more apt to get into the relationship because she's like,
it's not a long-term commitment.
This is going to be great. We're gonna burn bright and then fade out, and it's going to be great.
Right. The brightest stars last only half as long.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think that it would be very interesting. But you find out when you're 18, and it's ironclad, but there's caveats to that, right? So if it says you're going to die at 35, if you go skydiving without a parachute at 25, you're probably still going to die at 25, or you're going to end up being in a coma for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's ironclad. And so, like, it's going to be right. It's just that you're just thinking that, oh, I'll cheat death, but really you're just going to be in a coma or paralyzed or whatever for the final 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
It's not like you get out of jail free card for your troubles until you're X age. I mean, think about it. That's what smokers are doing.
Yeah.
Essentially mortgaging their future.
Yeah. So
there would definitely be a hierarchy based off of the years of life. Like, even if we didn't know the quality of it, if we did know the quality, then that would also kind of be bad.
But this, I mean, it would, but the,
like,
the quantity would affect the quality. It would have to.
Not necessarily. What if you're in a coma for 20 years longer than somebody else and then you die?
Oh, okay, sure. That's bad. But if it says, because you don't know what's going to happen to you, you only know your death.
100 years of terrible life is not better than 50 years of great life.
That I would agree with that too. But I think that when you have things, because it's how long you're going to live is going to directly impact things like your credit score.
Oh.
So if
or your life insurance or whatever.
If a bank knows you're going to die in 2 years, they're not going to make you a 30-year loan. So you're not going to be able to afford to get a mortgage to buy a house, which means you don't have
living in poverty.
Yeah.
So, geez, that's terrible.
If you were going to live till 85, the bank's like, oh yeah, you're going to be around for a super long time. Now they don't know if you're going to be in a coma the whole time, but they can say there's a better chance of you paying us all back.
Ooh.
So everything from your job. I mean, companies aren't going to hire you if you're going to die in 2 weeks.
True.
All these things are going to stack and stack and stack to the point where quantity does become quality.
Or like forced retirement. They're just like, well, Jim here only has a year left, and we don't want to pay for his funeral or for his health care, so they just like cut you off.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Ooh, that would have to be protected information.
It would have to be. Can you imagine being in construction and they're like, we just found out that Jerry's going to die Friday.
Right.
We don't know how, but he looks really healthy.
Crap.
So we're just going to fire him because, he's got, a 30% chance of having that happen while he's on the job just for hours in the day. And we're not going to have that lawsuit on our hands. Bye, Jerry.
Or it's like you're not allowed to be driving if your death is within a week. Like, your license is revoked.
The risk is just too high that that's going to be what causes
everyone is around you is driving.
Yeah.
So you're just like not allowed.
Can you imagine? That actually would be helpful.
Would that affect like the car accidents?
Yes, it would for sure. And you could have a bumper sticker that says, I'm dying this Thursday.
Right.
And people would give you such a wide berth. They'd be like, oh, crap.
That guy's thing says 2018. Quick. Clear the lanes.
Now, how would that affect our jobs, though, as nurses? As a hospice nurse, I mean, I would know exactly...
You'd still have tons of time.
Well, yeah.
I'd have tons of clients.
I'd have lots of clients. But if we know the day they're going to die, then it's only the quality of life that then it gets put entirely on me. So I feel like the standard...
It would be easier in some ways and then worse in other ways.
Yeah. But as far as
for me,
it
might be like, well, it was his time.
Exactly.
Wash my hands of that one.
The responsibility goes down to next.
Actually, it would be really easy in some ways to like pawn a lot of problems off to the hospice to be like, well, the clock here says he only has 6 months left. Yeah. What do you want these 6 months to look like? Right?
I came in for a broken pinky, and they're like hospice.
What? That would be like the new requirement. It would be like you have to be like to qualify. You must be like having X thing or be over 113 or have 6 months or less listed on your time till expiration.
Yeah.
Your expiration date is just printed on your license.
Yeah.
They're like, the cops are like, oh, he's only got a week left. We'll let him off with a warning.
To go back real quick to dating, that would be very interesting because you'd have pools of people who are like, how long are you living? Okay, 30 years. I'm going to be 32 years. Okay, perfect. We have a compatible time frame for a relationship. You'd have people who are like, I'm only here for a year. For those people, it's more like Tinder.
Yeah, it's just partying your way through the
exactly
last year of your life.
And anybody who is like, I'm going to live for 32 years, trying to hang out with the 1 year crowd is just like a 35-year-old trying to be on Tinder.
Right.
No one wants them there, and they're like, this isn't for you, okay? This is, you need to get out of here.
Respect our space, man. Yeah, that's dark. This is a dark place.
Totally is. You'd start having romantic relationships like dog years. You'd be like, 8 years. That's a pretty good run.
That was a good run. Or you'd have people that were like trying to match up to just like keep increasing their like progeny's years.
Yeah.
It'd be like, genetically, we have the best number of years. You definitely have like there would be a hierarchy. Like if you're like, oh, old Bill over there, he's no good for you. Like he's only got 15 years left. I have a robust 50.
Yeah.
Don't hire him. He's twice the salesman you are, but he loses the job.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud for all this. It would definitely affect how people value each other. We talked about how in the last episode about sleeves and how sleeves it devalues human life. I imagine that you'd have people who are like, oh, I'm only going to live for 2 more years. If something bad happened to them, people wouldn't care as much because you're not really ruining that much of a time frame.
People haven't invested in you.
Yeah.
Essentially.
If you assault somebody who has 4 days left, you're probably not going to spend the rest of your life in jail.
Right.
They're going to be like, here's a ticket.
He's erratic. Yeah, he was erratic because he knew there was only 4 days left.
It's probably on him anyway.
He won't even make it to trial. Don't worry about it. Or you're just like, some guy's like, I'm going to sue you. You look up his expiration date. You're like, we're probably fine.
Yeah. I'm just going to run this around in court for a while.
Ooh, but then that also plays into alimony. If somebody's getting divorced and they're like, I know she's got 50 years left, judge. Make her pay for all 50 years. She can afford it. I've only got 10 left. My quality of life depends on it.
You would have an app that would tell you everyone in your area who's going to die on the same day as you. And you would have like hangouts. And you'd be like, we're all going to die on the same day, so we might as well like be friends and do group activities.
There's like all those people in the town that all have the same number. They're like, oh no.
Right? You would all move to a different town. You're like, an asteroid's hitting our town.
All of a sudden your dates all change.
Nuclear power plant's going to melt down next to us or something.
That's the thing, is like, if it was like a natural disaster, like, and you move... Like, does that change the dates?
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine it would have to, right? Otherwise, you'd have, like, anybody that moved to L.A. when a big earthquake happens, they're just going to end up in a coma. You'd have massive coma wards.
Right? Just everyone's in a coma.
You'd have, like, a ward of, like, 100 beds with one nurse. They'd be like, all still in a coma? Yep. Literally, I couldn't kill him if I tried. Believe me, I've tried.
He's just punching people in a coma just for fun to pass the time. Slapping them in the face. Putting makeup on them.
There's just so many weird ways that this would change things.
It's so dark, though.
It's so dark.
Again, the mafia. They would definitely start recruiting people if they knew that they didn't have much time left.
Oh, yeah.
If they're like, listen, Itchy Jim, you don't have many years left, but here's what we can do for you.
But your kids need something.
You can live like a king. Itchy Jim, you can live like a king. Right? That's exactly what happened.
They're like, it says you're dying tomorrow no matter what we do. So we got a job for you.
Yeah, right? Would you like to earn $10 million?
For your family.
Right? But then they just wouldn't pay.
Maybe they would.
Or maybe it's like one of those self-fulfilling prophecies where the date says this time, but it's only because you believed it and accepted this job where you end up getting murdered.
Right? You're like, I have a day left. Maybe I will try meth. You just try like all the drugs. That's what kills you. And they're like, he was right.
Stupid.
And you're like, but how do you know? I don't know. I mean, it's what the mark on his arm said. So
idiot. What an idiot. Right? That's terrible. What, Dafs is just laughing. What's so funny over there?
I'm just imagining all the dumb things you would do if you knew you had 1 day to live left, right? You'd be like, well, pants aren't an option anymore, so that's gone. I could rob a bank.
I was actually thinking the same thing. I would want to try out our bank robbing strategy to see if we could get away using a hot air balloon. They're just like, well, the thieves, they're They're XP1. That's what they'd start, like, it'd be the slang of, like, they only had, like, T-1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they only had 1 day left, so they didn't really care. We know we'll recover the money eventually. You're in a bank, all of a sudden you see your number tick down. You're like, oh, crap. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, it would be really interesting to see if it changed based on what you were doing or where you were at. Because then it's more of an estimation. And like
right.
every cigarette you smoke, you'd see it click down like 2 minutes and you're like, okay, that's kind of worrisome.
Right.
But then if like you were suddenly, at a music event and you're like, for some reason, all of ours went down to like 3 minutes.
Oh, crap. There's just a mass panic.
Right?
Then everyone gets killed by trampling.
Yeah. I mean, the thing, how you react to your time would then affect the time of people around you.
Right.
And
You don't panic, so yours starts going up. You're like,
Yeah.
I must be doing something right.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. Death is weird. It can happen at any moment.
Even now.
Even now.
5:27 p.m.
I know. I've already outlived by 7 minutes.
To
what
you,
you're estimating.
Daffs. Maybe I just thought this segment was going well enough to not intervene. Right?
They,
Somebody's starting to talk threateningly to you. You just see it start going down and down. You're like, oh no. Listen, let's not get rash.
what if you could artificially do that? You would just have like a mafia enforcer. He would just come walk up to you and like your clock would go down to 1 minute and he just looks at you.
It just doesn't say a word.
And you're like,
Here, take everything. You
I'll
just
do
give 'em all-
whatever you want. It goes back up 10 minutes. That's a little better.
Right?
You're just hacking it, but like,
You just start handing him money. All the money you have on you, your watch, your glasses, car keys. Slowly it's going up. You're like, whoa, that was close. Except for somebody would figure out a way to manipulate it just to make money.
oh yeah.
Some like snake oil salesman would be like, here, he's like selling you back years of your life, but really he's just like interfering with the program and adding time.
You'd have people who would intentionally wear like a bracelet over it so they couldn't see it, so that they could just enjoy like that day and do whatever they wanted and not know how it's affecting their like lifespan.
Or there would be just groups of like, it would be like a religion almost. We don't need to know what time. And so they would be like wearing their black bands over their wrists or whatever color they chose, you know, to like separate them out, where it's like, oh, he's a bander. He doesn't know what time he's going to die.
He refuses to know.
Nobody will hire him because he's not playing by their rules.
Right.
That's a great sci-fi movie.
That's
right
like
there.
going off the grid.
Yeah, right? It's basically like Gattaca, but slightly different.
Yeah.
Different enough to where we could sell it and make money. Daffs, we need to become movie producers.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just an idea bank. I have ideas. I'm not very good at like follow throughing on them or writing them.
We would be the very difficult talent management. They would have to manage us.
Yeah.
They'd be like, now, boys, you said you were going to get that script to me by Saturday. It's Thursday. 2 weeks from then. Where's my script? I produced so many hits for you. You owe me this. Yep.
Oh.
We could be famous. Maybe this podcast will help us get famous. I look down, I see the time expiring. Oh.
It's doubtful.
Outlook is bleak.
Although people have asked me like what my weekend plans are, and I've told them like, oh, I'm gonna go over to my buddy's house and podcast, and they're like, wait, you have a podcast? And I was like, yeah. Like,
No.
you work with me. I talk about my work a bit, sometimes in a lighter mood than people would appreciate.
You're right.
Nope, I don't. What's it called? I don't remember.
I don't remember. That's funny. I had some doctor come up to me and they were like, yeah, listen to your show. It's very weird.
Which, I mean, what else would they expect, though? I mean, honestly, if someone like talked to us for a
Somebody
while,
was like, they were like, it's a lot like the experience of knowing you.
yeah,
I was like, thank you. I've recaptured the magic and put it out there on the airwaves for all you people.
that's literally why no one at work knows me as Dafs, because I don't want them to be
It's
able
an
to look
alter
me up.
ego?
Well, it doesn't. I don't want them to be able to see me on Facebook.
Are you living two
or-
lives, Dafs?
Absolutely, 3 now.
Wow.
That and nobody can pronounce Dafs.
I need to be living an alternate life. What would my name be? Franz Joseph.
Franz Joseph.
Oh wait, I think that one's taken.
It should be an anagram for your already name.
Jack Thirst.
There you go.
That actually is an anagram for my name.
Where's the B?
You don't have to. It doesn't have to be full on anagram.
No, it totally does.
No,
Has
it
to be the
doesn't.
exact.
Jeez, then there's nothing you can really do because there's a J. What are you going to do with that? Anyways, this has gone very, very off of the point.
I'm going to start looking up anagrams for Rick's name.
Oh, goodness. Well, does that mean it's time to end?
It might be.
Once things get too crazy for even me, that usually means it's time to wrap up. So, I'm Rick.
I'm Dafs.
Have a good one.